Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Unparalleled Universe for another action figure review, and today we're taking a look at the brand new Revoltech Amazing Yamaguchi Batman Beyond. And when it comes to Revoltech, I'm very selective, I don't buy a whole lot of them. There's a few that I've picked up that I absolutely love, like Agent Venom and Moon Knight, but aside from that, I'm not the biggest fan of Revoltech. They have plenty of good figures, but for me, being that they're so expensive, I have to be very selective. But I had to get Batman Beyond because there's not a whole lot of great Batman Beyond figures out there. And to be honest, this thing looks incredible. So let's go ahead and jump right into it, starting off with the packaging. It's your standard Revoltech packaging. Over here, we get a shot of the figure, and it is looking pretty freaking awesome. On the side of the box, we get a look at Batman Beyond in a quick little pose. On the back, we get to see him in all kinds of different poses, along with the accessories that he comes with. And then on the side of the box again, we get a few more close-ups. And yeah, man, this thing is looking crazy. So I can't wait to get it out of the box. So enough about the packaging. Let's go ahead and get this guy out and take a look. God damn. Okay, so here we have Batman Beyond right out of the box. And man, this guy is definitely up there with the likes of Moon Knight and Agent Venom. Amazing Yamaguchi did a phenomenal job on Terry McGinnis here. Man, I freaking love this figure. Right out of the box, I was in love instantly. I was like, oh, geez, they killed it. They did a great job with the design and everything. As you could see, he has more red than we're used to seeing on like classic Batman Beyond designs, but I still think it looks very cool. And overall, it still looks like pretty simple and still very true to the spirit of Batman Beyond. And it's funny because obviously with his suit, it's like a technologically advanced kind of thing, but like in the cartoon and everything, it's very simple. Like there's not a whole lot going on. It's black, you got the red logo on the chest and the belt, and that's pretty much it. With this version, there's all kinds of stuff going on with the suit. You just can't see it because of the simple color scheme. But when you get in close, you could see there's all kinds of these little like tech kind of details in there. It kind of comes across like an Iron Man kind of design or something, But man, this thing is so freaking cool. It's an amazing looking figure. And because of all that stuff that this guy has going on with the suit and everything, with all those, like all the circuitry and whatever you want to call it, like all the like advanced technical kind of things that we see in there, it kind of hides the joints a little bit because he still has like those Revoltech traits that we see on a lot of their figures with the exposed joints at the shoulders and at the elbows, but they blend into the design of the suit nicely, and it's pretty seamless. So the figure looks great whether he's just standing there or you're posing him up. So yeah, man, they killed it on all fronts. The only thing that's kind of driving me crazy on this guy is that I wish the belt sat lower. It keeps wanting to ride up for some reason. I may end up gluing it down. We'll see. Like right there is where it should be, but it just kind of comes up. But aside from that, I have no issues with the way this guy looks. It's so striking, the simple color scheme is just like eye-catching. And that's the case when it comes to classic Batman Beyond. And I think it translates really well to this figure, even though this isn't 100%, accurate to classic Batman Beyond. It still captures the energy, And I don't really know exactly what this suit is based on. I read that it was based on the comics, but I couldn't find like any comic books where he was wearing a suit that looked quite like this. So, I know Revoltech likes to do their own thing sometimes when it comes to designs. And in this case, I'm totally happy with it. Oh, and I love how they handled the wings. So check these out. He does come with wings, obviously, and they're separate from him, but you're able to attach them very easily. They're just on little Revoltech joints, so you could pop them into the back there. And these things are so cool. Like, look at this. And I love that they're removable because I like the idea of Batman Beyond being able to like compact the wings all the way down into his suit. Oh man, look at that. That is so cool. Jeez, these are dope. And then you could bring them down a little bit. And sometimes he's rocking them like that. So that works. Man, that's so cool looking. And even though these things don't have like a bunch of articulation, they do have a couple of articulation points. And, they're pretty versatile because we have this point of articulation here. And then, like I mentioned before, they're on Revoltech joints. So you could kind of move them around, do all kinds of different stuff with them. Boom, he could use them as a shield maybe. And they go into the figure on this like shifting piece right here. I don't even know what you call it, but yeah, so when this moves, you kind of move this with it. Oh, look at that. Yeah, it definitely works as a shield. Bring this one forward too. Man, that's so cool. Yeah, like I said, the wings are pretty versatile. And obviously you could get them into like cool flying poses and all that type of stuff. So I love the way they handled the wings. You know, there's certain characters that have like weird wing setups, and it could be difficult to translate it into action figure form, like Black Bolt or Banshee or, you know, characters like that. And I think that sometimes Batman Beyond could kind of fall into that trap, but I think they handled the wings perfectly and they just came out awesome. And I really like the design of Batman Beyond. And I think Revoltech did a great job with all the details. Usually, you know, Batman Beyond has a very simple looking, you know, costume. But in this case, they went the route that had like more going on. And I think that plays to their strengths because it allows them to kind of like hide the articulation and just give it more detail and make it look more interesting than just a, you know, mostly black Batman Beyond with the logo. I love that look, but I could totally understand why they went with this that has more going on. And they did a great job with it. Check out all the details here. Like starting off at the face, you could see that he does have some facial features. You could see the mouth. And then the rest kind of looks crazy, man. There's all kinds of like panels and plates and just weird like futuristic, techie kind of looking elements in there. And it looks really dope, man. The head sculpt is so cool. The red eyes are very striking. And, you know, the same thing could be said about the entire figure. But yeah, moving on to the body here. I like the way the logo looks on the chest. It stands out on the black costume. It's kind of hard to see all the details because, you know, there's so much black and then the glares. But, you know, when you're looking at this in hand, you could see all this really great sculpting work and it looks amazing. And then, as I said before, they did a pretty good job of hiding the joints. You can see like the ball joints here at the shoulders, but they blend into the design. Same thing with the elbows here. But yeah, I love the way the red pops on the costume. Oh, and these arm blades are soft plastic, so you don't have to worry about breaking them. That's a huge plus when it comes to like Batman Beyond. And then he does have this belt. This is the only thing I kind of don't like about this figure, you know, this floating belt. I could kind of probably glue it down if I wanted to. I mean, I could do it safely, but we'll see if I end up doing it. I don't know. But yeah, that's one thing that's kind of annoying because it floats up. But it looks good. It's well sculpted. It's got some nice paint. But yeah, look at all this, man. It may be hard to see the details, but there's a lot of great stuff going on in here. And yeah, man, it's dope. They did a great job with the overall design, look, the sculpt, and the details. The figure looks phenomenal. And when it comes to accessories, I think that he has a pretty good amount. Like, they didn't give him too much. They didn't go overboard or anything, but they still gave him, like, pretty much everything that you'd want for Batman Beyond. He has a couple of extra heads. He has some weapons, a bunch of hands, and some effects. So, you know, nothing too crazy, but enough for him. So I'm happy with it. But let's go ahead and take a look, starting off with the head sculpts. He comes with two different heads. The first one is the one that we've already looked at. It's that, like, you know, cool looking black mask with some facial features and the red eyes. That thing is so dope. The alternate head is very similar, but with this one, you could just see some teeth and a little bit more expression on the face. So both of these are very cool. It would have been nice if he came with an unmasked head sculpt, but, you know, I still like these two that he has. And then he does come with a bunch of hands, including a pair of fists, a set of flat, like, diving or karate chop hands. Then he has a set of regular open hands. And then next up, we get a set of clawed hands. And then finally, he does come with a set of gripping hands. And then he does come with a couple of these batarang blade things, you know? And these are super dope. I really like the red on there. And the red matches the figure nicely, but it's not the exact same. So that's kind of an interesting approach. But yeah, these look really good. And he's able to hold on to them with the gripping hands. It is kind of a loose grip, but, you know, you could get it in there securely enough for pictures or whatever. So yeah, look at that, man. That's cool. And he comes with two of these. So yeah, these are really dope. And then he does come with a couple of these blast off effects. Is that what you guys call them? I don't know. I've always called them blast off effects. I'm sure there's like a more official, better name for them. But they look good. And I like the way they did them because they gave them like Revoltech ball joints in there. So you can kind of pose them around and adjust the position. And it's pretty good. Those ball joints definitely make them a little bit more versatile. And they look cool too. I like how it's a translucent yellow orange color right here, and then it kind of goes up here to like a straight solid yellow. Then you could see some like flame effects sculpted on there. So, and then he does come with the standard Revoltech display stand, and this is cool, you know, it's pretty solid. You can tighten up the screws right here at the joints so that it's a little more secure. And once you do that, you don't have to worry about it falling over or anything. So this is cool. And the base itself has like different ports so that you can actually plug the stand into like different spots on the base. So that's cool. And then it does come with like a clip like this if you want to use it, or you can peg it right into the back of the figure, which is the way that I prefer to do it. I feel like that's the most secure. And then lastly, he does come with a couple of extra Revoltech joints. So yeah, I think he comes with a really good amount of accessories. I like the different hands, the two heads, the blast off effects, the stand, and the batarang things. All that stuff is very cool. I do wish that he came with an unmasked Terry McGinnis head. That's pretty much the only thing he's missing. But, you know, aside from that, I think he does have a really good amount of accessories. And jumping into size comparisons, here we have Batman Beyond alongside my two favorite Revoltech figures. On the left, we have Moon Knight, and on the right, we have Agent Venom. And Batman Beyond is right up there with these guys. He's officially joining the ranks of my top Revoltech figures. If you ask me today what my favorite Revoltech figures are, like my top three, it would be these guys. Moon Knight, Batman Beyond, and Agent Venom. They killed it on all three of them. Moving on, we have Batman Beyond alongside the Mafex Spider-Man 2099 and the Mezco Spider-Man 2099. And I love the way they look together. Batman Beyond and Spider-Man 2099 have always kind of felt similar to me, so this is awesome. I would love to see a Revoltech Spider-Man 2099 in the same kind of style as this Batman Beyond. That would be great. And then here we have Batman Beyond alongside the Mafex Dark Knight Returns Batman and the Mezco Dark Knight Returns Batman. And I kind of like the fact that Terry is much smaller than these Batman figures. I mean, obviously, they're different brands and stuff like that, so sizes kind of vary, but I really like that Batman Beyond is so small next to the Dark Knight Returns Batman. I think that's fitting. And then moving on to some more Batman characters, here we have them alongside the Mafex Hush Batman and the Mafex Hush Joker. And once again, Terry is smaller than them, so I think that works perfectly. And then here we have him alongside the Mafex Azrael and the Mafex Nightwing. Moving away from DC, here we have Batman Beyond alongside the Mafex Spider-Man and the Marvel Legends Maximum Series Spider-Man. And then, of course, we have to have Terry McGinnis alongside the Marvel Legends Bucky Cap and the Marvel Legends Renew Your Vows Spider-Man. And then here we have Batman Beyond alongside the most important figures in my collection. On the left, we have my original character, Odious from Unparalleled Universe. Be sure to check him out. I'll leave information to him below. There are some new versions on the way. I can't wait to get them out to you guys. And then on the opposite side, we have the NECA, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mirage Comics, Kirby, aka the King Jack Kirby. As usual, when it comes to Revoltech, this guy gives you everything that you want from an articulation standpoint. You could get him into all kinds of crazy, dynamic, over-the-top poses. And you know, that's the thing that Revoltech is known for. At this point, they've mastered that articulation. And yeah, they're killing it, man. And when it comes to Batman Beyond, I appreciate the articulation even more so than usual with Revoltech because none of the joints interfere with the design of the figure, you know. Thankfully, the joints kind of work themselves right into the whole concept of the visual aesthetic, you know. So yeah, man, articulation is great on this guy and it doesn't mess up the look whatsoever. So I'm very happy about that. But let's go ahead and take a look starting off at the head. So he does have movement at the lower neck and at the upper neck. Using both of those, we get some crazy tilt action. Tilt side to side a really good amount. And then he could look left to right. And, you know, he can look left to right from the neck if you want, but, you know, you don't need to do that. You could just use the head. And then he's able to look up to about right there, which is pretty good, especially for flight poses. He could look down to right there, which is great. You know, I think he could look up a little bit more, actually. Let me see. Yeah, there we go. A little bit more than before, but yeah, that's really nice. And then he could look down to right there. So good stuff at the head and the neck area. And then for the torso, he has a ball joint here at the diaphragm and a ball joint at the waist. Using both of those, he could crunch forward a crazy amount. Look at that. That is awesome right there. It can go back. It can only go back to about right there. So not as far as it goes forward, but that's okay. I prefer the forward range over the back range anyways. So that's good. And let's see what else we have going on here. Oh, you got to be careful because part of the suit kind of overlaps itself if you're not careful here. So you have to get it tucked back in there. Anyways, we also get some nice like side-to-side movement from both the diaphragm and the ball joint at the waist. So that's really nice to see. Look at that. All kinds of crazy movement. And then we could spin at the diaphragm and we could also spin at the waist. So good stuff there. Let me get him situated. And then at the arms, he does have these shifting pieces. And these are nice because they allow you to get his arms in front of him a really good amount. Check that out there. You could actually cross both of his arms because of his shoulders and these sliding pieces. Like, that's pretty insane. So that's nice there. And then, you know, these obviously help you get him into crazy punching poses because you could bring his arm like all the way across like that. Boom. Yeah, so that's pretty nice. And you can bring them back a little bit too. I feel like they don't go back as much as they go forward, but that's okay. It still goes back enough to get him into like a fighting stance, or like, you know, as if he's about to punch someone or something, or just looking creepy or whatever. So yeah, these sliding shoulder things are really cool. A lot of times I don't like them on Revoltech figures because they look ugly, but they don't look bad on Batman Beyond whatsoever. So good stuff there. And then at the shoulder itself, he does have like the standard Revoltech joint, and the shoulders are pretty clean. They're a little gappy, but not too bad. They've come a long way. A lot of their old figures used to be super gappy and just ugly, but now they're killing it with the look and the articulation. So yeah, like that doesn't look too bad as far as like the gaps go. The shoulders look somewhat natural and regular, but they go up a really good amount, and then you can bring them all the way around. And then the shoulder itself does rotate on the ball joint, but then he also has like an upper bicep swivel, but the upper bicep swivel is at a weird angle. So there you go. But still, you can rotate there or rotate at the shoulder. Got a lot of options. And then let's see, for the elbow, he does have single jointed Revoltech elbows. I hate to just call these single jointed elbows because it's kind of like simplifying them, you know? Yeah, technically it's one joint, I guess, kinda, but it works like a double joint because it gets crazy range. And then he does have a ball joint at the wrist with the hinge, so you could swing his hands around and do what you need to do there. So yeah, good stuff at the arms. And then for the legs, he's able to kick to the side a really good amount. His hips here are on like he's got like a hip piece that's on a ball joint, so you can kick to the side to about right there, which is very nice. You could bring his leg forward to about right there, and if you're crunching him forward, like it gives the illusion that his leg goes way up. So that's pretty crazy right there. And then the leg goes back to about right there. And then, you know, you can rotate the upper hip piece on the ball joint that's in there, but we also get an upper thigh swivel, which again, it's at a weird angle, so you know, when you spin it around, it does weird things. But yeah, I like that you can rotate on the actual ball joint and get a little bit more movement out of the upper thigh if you need to. And then at the knee, he has your standard like Revoltech style single joint. I hate to just say, oh, single joint, because obviously it works, you know, in its own unique way, but it gets really good range, as you could see. So that's nice. And then he does have the shin hinge as well. As you could see, it's kind of bending right there, and you could rotate on that if you need to. And then at the foot, we have a ball joint with a hinge, so his foot could go forward to right there, come up to right there, rocking ankles, and then toe hinge. So yeah, you already know what it is. Revoltech always does an amazing job with the articulation. Batman Beyond is no exception. In fact, like I said before, I could appreciate the articulation more on him because the articulation points don't like obstruct the design of the figure. To me, that's what it's all about, like balancing those two things. And Revoltech doesn't really do a great job of balancing aesthetic and articulation. Well, in the past they haven't, but they're getting better at it. And yeah, they put out some bangers that walk that line perfectly, and Batman Beyond is one of them. So if you're a big fan of Batman Beyond, I think that you will absolutely love this figure because Revoltech killed it, man. They did such an incredible job. And even though like this figure isn't like perfectly accurate to classic Batman Beyond, like what they did with the redesigns and stuff still feels very true to the spirit of the character. Like this feels something that maybe his suit could have evolved into. And maybe that's the case in the comics. Like I said, I'm not 100% sure what this is based on, but to me, it feels like an evolution of the classic Batman Beyond look. So yeah, Revoltech killed it with all the details, the paintwork, and just the look, man. He's so striking, he stands out, and it's such a cool looking figure. I love the way they handled the wings. It's so dope, man. There's so much good things going on here. The articulation is ridiculous, as is always the case when it comes to Revoltech. Like I said before, they've mastered like having insane amount of articulation and just making their figures capable of the most dynamic and interesting poses. One thing that they don't always execute on is making their figures look good at the same time as having all that interesting articulation. But on this case, they definitely did. Like I said before, the figure looks amazing and he still has all that crazy Revoltech articulation. So they just killed it on all fronts. And when it comes to accessories, I like what we have going on here, you know? It's not too much. He has a couple of different head sculpts, some hands, and some weapons, and some effects. Like, that's definitely enough for him, although it would have been cool to get an unmasked head. And aside from that, my only real complaint about this guy is the way they did the belt. I really wish they would have secured it down in place, because it's kind of annoying the way that it floats up and whatever. But that's a small gripe, not even a big deal. I could glue it down if I want to, but if I had to pick something to complain about, I guess it would be the belt. But yeah, man. Aside from that, this figure is absolutely incredible, and I'm so happy to have it. Hands down, my favorite Batman Beyond figure. I love the Mezco one, but he fell off the shelf and it broke, so it makes me mad. You don't even have to worry about that on this guy because his arm blades are soft plastic, which to me is huge on a character like this. But anyways, yeah, man, I freaking love this figure. Don't be surprised if it ends up in my top 10 at the end of the year, if I do a top 10. But yeah, this thing's incredible. And with that, I think that's it. Thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and all that good stuff. Also, be sure to hit the bell notification so you know every time that I go live. Thank you very much. Peace.